walk into the dispensaries.
All right, how do we look?
Most importantly, right?
But first things first, we need to pop this bottle open because
Absolutely. Thanks for the opportunity to speak.
Absolutely. So we're speaking today with Lauren Gockley. Did I say that correctly?
Gockley.
Lauren Gockley from Coda Signature. I'm Christina from Emerald Media Group, and we have Ronit Pinto from Honeysuckle Magazine. So thank you for being here.
Thank you, guys.
Why don't we start, just by getting a little intro about yourself and how you came into Coda Signature, and then, we can talk about where the company is right now and some trends going on with edibles and the industry.
Yeah, so I have been a chocolatier for a little over 15 years now, working in restaurants as well as manufacturing facilities. Spent a few years in New York at Thomas Keller's Per Se, and then transitioned into becoming a raw vegan chocolatier for about 4.5 years. And then really made the decision to try to branch out to start really my next journey in chocolate. And that's been the goal for me as it relates to my love, which is chocolate, to continue to find new and exciting ways to explore flavors, as well as explore the different ways to be able to provide people with that joy and nourishment that chocolate gives. So it's been about a little over 5 years that I have been able to be a part of the Coda journey. Transitioned from New York out to Colorado to start the company there. We launched in Colorado in about 2016, and have been gaining momentum ever since. And then I transitioned out to Oakland about a year ago, and we've been in the California market coming up on about 8 months. So lots of achievement, lots of great milestones. We've built an amazing team here that have just achieved such great success. And cannabis, I joke around is really my gateway drug for sure, because it really has just opened up so many opportunities for creativity and learning, and to just be part of this amazing industry that is, really just scratching the surface on what it's capable of doing and impacting lives across the world.
And so the Oakland facility, or the Oakland location, that's fairly new, correct?
It is. We finished construction, I would say, June of last year. And we spent a few months, getting familiar with our equipment and our the numerous complexities that are California, not just cannabis in California, but just California as a state. We launched our first product in August of 2019 with our chocolate bars, and then soon after that, we launched with our fruit notes, which is our interpretation of the gummy. And in January of 2020, we launched our bath bombs and body oils.
Nice.
High end, correct? It's like artisanal.
Yes and no. I mean, we're looking to create a high quality product that's still accessible to our customers. It really is about presenting, a trusted brand, a trusted product to create a safe place for people to experiment and try edibles for the first time, for the 100th time. It's about creating accessible experiences. And, I don't think that there needs to be a trade-off for, artisanal to be small. I think artisanal can still grow and be expansive, as well as, cost friendly, which is something that we're all, really conscious of right now.
Very cool. I mean, they're beautiful. So who's kind of in charge of the look and presentation?
I've been very blessed again to be able to have a lot of creative input on, not only the brand, but the product development. So a good amount of my time is spent tasting and developing and researching which, is, incredibly exciting to be able to pull a lot from, my previous experience in confection and pastry, and, see a whole new, palette with which to paint. And, I think the cannabis industry is really starting to embrace a lot of the same conventional specialties that, we find at a Whole Foods. So it's really exciting to see that the experience of consuming cannabis edibles is becoming the things that people are looking for when they make purchases: beautiful packaging, quality ingredients, all natural, exciting flavors. It's not just about getting high anymore. It's really that, full circle experience that people are looking for.
Yeah, I agree. And, with the pandemic, everything has increased. Edible sales have increased, sales in the industry across the board, but edibles specifically, and with women specifically, they take the lead in that. I think last time I checked, sales were up 33% in the edibles category. Do you have any trends or any sort of insights that you've noticed during this pandemic?
Yeah, I think, with edibles, the pandemic, I think, has just disrupted our lives in such an aggressive way and such a sudden way. There's seeking out of the familiar, which is why I think edibles that are chocolate or candy in some form or fashion, really can speak to the consumer in a way that feels safe. And, and not just that, but safe to consume. There aren't as many risks in consuming edibles as they would be, smoking a joint or, utilizing a vape pen. So I think it lends itself to, the consumer that is looking to have a really enjoyable treat, something special, as well as, creating a safe space with which to consume cannabis.
Mm-hmm. And, oh, sorry, Brittany, were you going to say something?
You guys have overall?
Sorry, can you repeat that question one more time?
Products do you guys have overall?
How many products do we have overall? So, you're gonna test my memory here on the number of products. So we've got, I'll talk about California because that's a little bit smaller. So we've got 7 chocolate bars that we produce. And currently we've got 5 different fruit note flavors, and we're about to come out with 3 new ones that are, I think, really exciting for the summer. So I'm anxiously awaiting, feedback on those. We have a cherry sarsaparilla, which is, almost like taking a sip of a cold cherry soda at the beach. We have a mango and chili lime, which, reminds me of, walking down the street with those mangoes. They're all peeled open, and you sprinkle that really delicious chili lime salt, and then a kiwi and watermelon, which is actually a double deposited fruit note that has 2 colors, and it almost looks like a watermelon. So it's going to be really fun visually, and I think something incredibly unique to the market. In Colorado, we have the same products, but we're also we also participate in the medical market too. So we just launched a 1,000 milligram bar, and for those that can consume 1,000 milligram bar, I mean, they deserve a trophy. It's daunting to me, but it goes to show you that the need is there. People are needing the ability to medicate, and and not have to medicate by eating a whole chocolate bar. It really allows adequate dosing without having to overconsume. So that's really exciting. And then of course we have our amazing bath bombs that are just a wonderful treat for yourself. And when I kind of think about the way people are looking for retreat, for comfort, for peace and tranquility, a bath bomb is really one of those affordable luxuries that people are going to be looking for.
Do you have a favorite product or a favorite candy type, or what's your favorite?
You mean of our products?
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that's like asking a mother to pick a favorite child.
Some of them can.
I just, of course, am just diehard chocolate. So, it can kind of ebb and flow through different flavors depending on just the time of day, really. But I have to say one of my favorites is the cream and crumble. It's really light and refreshing, and I really love watching people eat the cream and crumble because I think when you tell them it's a white chocolate bar, people's immediate reaction is, not for me. I don't like white chocolate. And then to watch them eat it, you just kind of see their face kind of light up with surprise. It's, white chocolate with lemon and some tartness from sour cream and a really fun crunch from a cinnamon streusel. So really inspired by, delicious lemon cheesecake. And, when we want to kind of create that connection, so people see it on the package, and I think they're really able to make that, mind taste connection. And our white chocolate is really, a phenomenal product. We purchased our chocolate from a company called República de Cacao, and they're based in South America. And this is the only single origin white chocolate out there, and it's single origin from Ecuador. And I had the opportunity to go and visit Ecuador, and we traveled up to the Andes and actually saw the cows that are being milked for this white chocolate roaming free on the mountaintop. And, when you really see the quality and care that these farmers take in their craft, you can really taste it in all of our chocolates.
I've had that bar that you were mentioning, the white chocolate, and it is delicious. It is so divine. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Perfect light summer flavor.
Yeah, absolutely. Renee, do you have anything you want to ask?
My microphone am I muffled?
It's very low. I can barely hear you. I have to lean into here.
You were saying yesterday, so I don't know.
Okay. We could kind of hear you. If you want to ask a question, I can kind of repeat it, and then.
My boyfriend was asking if you ship to NYC.
No. Yeah, sadly not. I think we're so close to being able to start shipping, and I was kind of thinking that, the pandemic has been a little bittersweet when you kind of think about, one major milestone that happened was that cannabis was deemed essential during a health crisis. And I mean, that is a monumental statement that, I say, well, you can't take it back. You can't say that we're not essential anymore. And I think it's going to become, essential to people as they're, looking to find those comforts, looking to find those moments of peace and happiness. Going back again to those affordable luxuries, being able to spend money on a quality edible, or to be able to treat yourself to those experiences, as well as seeing what cannabis has done to the economies of many states, and many states that are suffering right now. So not only benefits in tax revenue, but jobs. And I think we're going to see a pretty amazing shift in the attitude of states and the consumer during this. Really, I mean, our lives are never going to be the same again.
I completely agree with you. I think that the whole landscape has changed, and it has gone to digital now. Now the industry go-to is somewhat morphing to shopping online than doing a pickup, and that's great for safety and health reasons. But what about the bud tenders? These are individuals who unfortunately might get phased out with this new transition, and they're really the front men and women that talk to patients and customers about these products. They make recommendations. They show you the packaging. They let you look or smell the product. What are your thoughts on the possibility of them getting phased out, and then consumers really just having to go off some robot online, that may or may not be qualified to give advice? What are your thoughts there?
My hope is, to your point about turning to, the digital media and how it is that the bud tender can still be represented, on websites, live situations like this. How can the shopping experience happen over a Zoom call? Because so much of what is unique to shopping at a cannabis dispensary is the one-on-one attention that you get from the bud tenders. And the bud tenders often, are self-educated or the dispensary has really invested in their education. And to rely on some sort of computerized, answering service or however, I just don't think is going to be suitable for how new this market is. So imagine if you could make an appointment with a bud tender at a dispensary for a 15 to 30 minute question and answer, and they could be making recommendations of products as well as showing you the product. So it could become more of a personalized experience digitally or virtually versus, the face-to-face interactions that we're so used to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, it's interesting how quickly things have shifted and propelled with this pandemic. And, I appreciate your personal protection equipment on right now. So
yeah, I'm joking. It's like I'm having to smell my breath for 12 hours a day, which
yeah.
Self-conscious, I'll be honest.
Ronit and I are out in New York. And so, and every time I take the dog for a walk, I got to get a mask. And for a while I was washing them over and over and over again. I have a couple now that I can cycle through, but in the beginning it was wash and reuse, wash and reuse, wash and reuse. So, well, thank you very much for this, for your time this afternoon. Is there anything else you'd like to tell our followers or listeners? What can we look forward to next? And, I think you've got some new products coming out, but is there anything else you'd like to include?
Well, I really would just like to extend an immense amount of gratitude to the bud tenders and the dispensaries, to our team, that are coming in and, putting themselves out there to continue producing, continue serving. We couldn't do it without every single person, recognizing the essentialness that that we are as cannabis business participants. And, it's showing what is important in our lives. And the team that we have here in Oakland, the team that we have in Colorado, they have been so amazing and flexible and patient and understanding during all of these changes, and just it's been a roller coaster. And then all of our dispensary partners and their employees, just thank you for your patience and getting to where we are now, which I think is some level of stability. And then of course everyone on the front line, from the health workers, grocery store employees, everybody putting themselves at risk to keep us safe and comfortable.
Absolutely.
Race situation affecting you guys, like the protests and riots, the Black Lives Matter movement? How's that?
It's impacted a number of cannabis companies in California. I think the dispensaries have been the hardest hit. I know down in LA, MedMen had to close their stores. One of their stores was hit. There was about 4 or 5 dispensaries here in Oakland. We have been blessed not to be directly affected, but it has definitely put us all on high alert. The last night, I think, was one of the first nights where we're starting to see a decline in activity. But a huge shout out to our security team, Black Anchor, who is, just keeping us safe every hour of the day. And, they could not be more gracious, kind, and courageous. And we're blessed to have them.
Yeah, that's amazing. Well, our thoughts go out, with you guys during this time, and certainly, of course, with the rest of the community, and hopefully things will start to, start to clear up a little bit. So
I'm just looking for nothing to happen. Doesn't need to get better. Just nothing more needs to happen.
All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us again.
And thank you guys so much. It's always fun. It's lovely to get to, I feel, didn't we talk about a year ago? Is that, yeah. So we were just getting started in California. So it's great to be sitting in the facility doing this versus I think I was at home. So.
And I love Oakland. I lived in Temescal for a while, and I want to move. I want to come back. All right. Well, thank you again, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, guys. Have a great one.
Bye-bye.
Hello and welcome to our 5th installment of Honey Talks. I am the publisher and founder of Honeysuckle and MARY Magazines, and today we speak with David Bronner, the Cosmic Engagement Officer of Dr. Bronners. Dr. Bronners is kind of the poster child for everything good in the corporate world. I know that good and corporate are not synonymous for the most part, but at Dr. Bronners they truly are. They provide vegan options for their employees. They have closed the pay gap so that the highest paid employees cannot make over a certain amount than the lowest paid. Dr. Bronners has donated funds to animal welfare. He's backed the regenerative movement for a long time. And most recently, they pledged $1 million to the Psilocybin Therapy and Drug Reform Act in Oregon. He wants to make plant medicine available to addicts and also just as use as part of therapy for depression and anxiety. And he really wants to see legal and be promoted as medicine in our country. First, we just wanted to ask about how you're doing with the virus and how that's affecting just overall business.
I don't know. It's never been busier. It's just we've got business is really busy, and then the campaigns we're involved in, the psilocybin therapy campaign in Oregon, the Beat from Nature campaign in DC. It's just a real challenge right now with COVID and not being able to gather signatures on the street. So we're having to pivot to try to get the signatures you need to qualify through mail and online efforts. And
why Oregon in particular? Are they just really advanced in terms of therapy and research?
Yeah, they had a homegrown effort there that Thomas Schreckert, or the chief petitioners, husband-wife therapist team, that had the idea that to take the rigor of the studies coming out of Hopkins and NYU and UCLA, and basically have a model that replicates that therapeutic container. I think that's the way that you can really reach people and help people, and it can be a real opportunity to break through and set the example and blaze the path for the rest of the country. Now, Oregon also has, side by side with it, a broad-based decriminalization, Portugal-style, decriminalizing all drugs, and any mass incarceration and the systemic racism of the drug war that targets people of color. America has 4% of the world's population and 22% of the world's prison population. The drug war has always been, in many ways, a proxy to go after people of color. There's a book called The New Jim Crow that's really good. It talks about slavery, institutional slavery, more, where you get Thomas Jefferson not blinking an eye, saying all men are created equal, but, being a slaveholder himself. And just a deep systemic racism in our founding that then translated into Jim Crow after the Civil War. So after we ended the institution of slavery, then we had a new system of racial control. And then once that ended, that's when you saw the rise of mass incarceration in the drug war. So once you couldn't have systemic, segregation, this kind of new form of racial control emerged in society. And all this is like somewhat unconscious. It's like, how does this happen? And when we're supposed to be officially colorblind, but nonetheless, it's exactly what we're doing. So ending the drug war is or getting addicts the treatment they need without further ruining their lives. Being an addict is not it's not a crime, it's a health problem. And once you get a record, a felon record, you're a second-class citizen, you're just discriminated against. And yeah, something like a third of Black males, at some point, end up in the system. Anyways, it just needs to end. And of course, what's like the best treatment for addiction is psilocybin therapy. So psilocybin therapy is being shown to be really good for alcoholism, smoking cessation. There's one for cocaine addiction. And some of the earliest studies back in the 60s showed how good like LSD therapy was for alcoholism. And in fact, Bill Wilson, who founded AA, was a huge proponent of LSD therapy. And so I'm really excited in Oregon that you have both like a treatment, not jail effort to kind of end mass incarceration and expand treatment services and social services. And then we're legalizing psilocybin therapy at the same time. So it's kind of a perfect 1-2 punch.
Do you feel we're on a precipice of either going up or down as a race? And if so, what are the chances of going up versus down?
Yeah. I think definitely we're getting to some inflection points. I'm, I guess, cautiously optimistic. I'm not, that integrating all of our medicines as fast as possible over the next 5 years and psychedelically healing and opening up the global citizenry by the end of the decade will hopefully, along with just a lot of the other social and environmental movements, get the collective behavior change and policies in place that could give us a shot of, really decarbonizing the economy and moving agriculture to a regenerative basis. Stop, trying to get us off this track of going off the climate change cliff. And social. We need to solve the income inequality in this country and around the world. So hopefully with a new president and I don't know.
Yeah, but which one?
Yeah, well, this at least not the current one.
You studied biology at Harvard.
Yeah. Well, I didn't do that much studying, but yeah.
Tell us a little what's going on the regenerative side. You've been a huge proponent and enabler of regenerative ag.
We're partnered with Patagonia and some leading soil health organizations and animal welfare organizations and fair labor organizations on what's called the Regenerative Organic Standard. So if you go to regenorganic.org, so they're web-based home, but the standard, we just completed a pilot and we had like 30 different farms and brands in it. So we should be launching this summer and launching the program and making it widely available.
Wow.
So you'll start to see regenerative organic certified products on the shelves. And then we've got the Sun and Earth certification in the cannabis space because the term organic is federally regulated. And because of federal prohibition, cannabis farmers can't access the organic program. So we've got the Sun and Earth program to basically give cannabis farmers a third-party consumer-facing seal that cannabis consumers can look for to know that their medicine was grown outdoors in the soil under the sun, no chemicals, fair labor. We've got the Brother David's not-for-profit. So separate from Bronners is a personal effort along with a couple other people to make a nonprofit brand platform to educate bud tenders and just cannabis consumers about Sun and Earth. I think it'll be a good decade for regenerative organic agriculture and psychedelic medicine.
And they're amazing. Like, they're farmers from all over the Bay Area here, and we're here pretty much every Saturday. It's a great spot, and the produce is amazing. Like, we take our produce here very, very seriously. And
moving here from New York, it's like, oh wait, this does grow in America. The variety here is what's really cool. Stuff you would never find in a grocery store.
We're really curious about this plant. We're looking at it as an ingredient. Cannabis is a vegetable. it's an herb. We can do so much with it. The applications are endless. So right now we're just curious about it.
The sort of premise that we thought of for this dinner, we don't just want to get people high or to medicate. We actually enjoy using the whole plant, and so that's the premise of our dinner is stem to seed, sort of the idea of nose to tail eating, but using the whole plant, because really the buds went into certain things. The stems, like she said, were used in cheese making. The roots, which are a pain in the ass to clean, were used to make an amaro, a digestive. And each different part of the plant sort of has a different flavor profile and different application. Part of being a chef is finding different ways to use products. So that was sort of the fun that we had with this dinner, and also it's just finding all of the applications that we can for this plant. Go big.
We're here with Rob Van Dam in Las Vegas at his home. Today we're going to be talking about Headstrong, his new documentary, which is now available on Amazon, and also his new product, RBD-CDB.
Yes.
How are you doing, Rob?
Awesome, dude. Welcome to my beautiful home. Oh, wait. Is that vain to say beautiful? I'm talking about my own home? Oh, you say it.
It really is beautiful. We're having a great time here. I don't want to pan around, but there'll definitely be some footage of it soon. It's been 3 years now since you appeared on the cover of Edibles magazine, and a lot has happened in the industry since then. California has gone from medical to recreational. You've moved from California to Las Vegas. You've launched your own product, a new movie. What can you tell us about Headstrong? First of all, what it is, and then maybe how it came about.
Okay, so once in a while I get up on stage and I do stand-up comedy. It's something I get something out of, otherwise I wouldn't do it, you know. As an artist, I enjoy writing. I enjoy expressing myself in that way, but I don't enjoy it more than being home, so it's not something I'm looking to pursue. But I went on this comedy tour with Tom Garland, who managed those things for me, also a comedian. And he said, you know, my buddy Joe Clark, he can bring a camera, you know, and he's a movie maker. We can edit up footage from the whole trip, you know, and make something cool out of the footage, you know. At first it could have been really small. It could have been like maybe just something on YouTube with some behind the scenes stuff of what it was like being with RBD on tour. I don't know, but it ended up being much, much bigger because I showed up on day one for the tour with double vision from a headache. And or from a concussion, sorry, not a headache, but I actually had a match 3 days before, and I've had hundreds of concussions, hundreds, the symptoms always go right away, like a few seconds. Sometimes maybe a few hours, very rarely though. And this one is the only one. I got it in a wrestling match in 2016, and 3 days later I show up for the comedy tour, because what are you going to do? I'm booked, show must go on, right? I don't cancel, I don't know a show, I'm the whole effing show, you know. Very dependable. So I show up against some advice, but I think I'll just shake it off and then get on with the tour. And I kept thinking I'll wake up fine tomorrow, but the double vision stayed with me. And after the tour, the documentary follows me home, and now I got to include a lot of my life, you know, background story to tell you how we got to this point, where I'm at in my life, and moving forward. Follow me as I'm learning what's going on with my brain. I got to get some scans, you know, first some CT scans, and then actual like MRI, and have to have the doctors look at it. And I'm wondering with the camera, you know, like, do I have CTE, you know, and if I do, what am I going to do? So it's very much, it's very, very personal to me, the movie, and you follow my journey, and I have heard from a lot of people that it's like a roller coaster because you're going through it with me, but what I always hear is that it's inspiring. So that's why it's important to me that people watch this, because, you know, at first I was just wanting to make like maybe a funny movie, and now I've had so many people tell me that they were inspired to see me go through some personal struggles, because, you know, I'm genuine. I want to be known for that. So I lay it out there, you know, where I'm at in life, how I got there, as I've said before, but, you know, with the details. You know, I just recently gotten divorced, some deaths in the family, and I was in a bad spot right before the camera started rolling. So it's necessary to explain the momentum I had going into this, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out, and I'm so stoked that people tell me that they can relate to me in ways they didn't know they could, because either they've had concussions or they were afraid to talk about depression. But then after watching it, they felt like, you know, they could talk about it and open up, and it's just, it's helped so many people that it really motivated me to want a lot of people to see this, you know, like, so far it's been on. I got ripped off by the middleman called Distributor, and so they kept 100% of everything. But I really am glad that a lot of people got to see it. And now I just recently got the movie back from Distributor, and it's on Amazon now, just through me and Joe. And it was just he and I that did everything in this movie, like everything, you know, like frame by frame editing. And we worked really hard on it for a long time, so super stoked the way it turned out. I'm proud of the movie, and I'm also glad to know that you might just get some positive energy from it. Headstrong on Amazon. And I want the conversation about concussions to, you know, to move forward. Like, I didn't realize to the extent of what a bad word it is. You know, once I started doing this movie, I ran into a lot of pushback, and I realized people don't want to talk about it, but that's how we're going to learn about it. And I was learning that, you know, a lot of people have problems with their brains, a lot of my peers, my friends, and people use the word CTE too loosely. They say, oh, I know I got CTE because I see floaters. That doesn't mean you have CTE. You know, chronic traumatic encephalopathy is a wasting disease where you're degenerating. And if you have it, your brain will die and you'll die. I mean, hopefully you have something more like just concussion syndrome or long-term concussion symptoms, damage. Big difference between that and CTE. And so, hey, let's learn about it. I was learning that the NFL was talking about using CBG, which is a precursor to CBD and THC, and it helps regenerate dead brain tissue. And they're talking about ways they can put that in a formula to help football players, you know. And I just thought, I've had so many offers about making my own strains over the years and stuff, but I thought, you know, I'd really like to get behind some kind of neurological protectant that can, one, help all my friends, because my friends keep committing suicide. Wrestlers from my generation statistically die young either from opiate overdoses, which are accident, or from killing themselves. And I mean, I've had so many of my close friends kill themselves that, after losing a couple in a row, I thought, I want to get behind looking into what is it that can help with the damage that CTE has done, because it also could help with other areas of depression and Alzheimer's and things like that, because it's all very much related. And so, I through meetings and networking, got the right people, got together a team, and that's what RBD-CDB is right now. That's the backbone that I'll be working on, is coming up with something for the brain, not only for my peers but for me. I don't want to go out that way either. Spoiler alert: the tests didn't show CTE, but how do I know that doesn't come later in life, like Alzheimer's or whatever? So they're very much related. The movie Headstrong and RBD-CBDs. If I can help people, I'm all for it. And the industry seems to be welcoming me in with open arms in a good way, as I'm bringing CBD and attainable products to not just my fans but to the masses.
Yeah. So you've seen some benefits from using CBD and THC both for the depression and the concussions?
So I've seen what it can do as far as like getting feedback from people that tell me, that, hey, THC helps me with anxiety, or hey, the CBDs, help me with whatever, seizures, whatever. And this, I believe, because all the reports and stuff, reports and accounts of firsthand information, that I'm with the science. So for me, I believe that I should have a level of CBD in my body to keep it in its best and homeostasis, I think it's called.
Homeostasis.
Homeostasis condition. So one of my products that I have, I came out originally with two products: RBD CBD tinctures and a pain cream. I use a lot of pain creams. This is the best, and here's why. One, it's got 3,000 milligrams, so that's a lot.
Yeah.
Can I actually feel the CBDs work good? No. Can I feel myself healing like a mutant, like Deadpool or something? No, I can't. But I know that I have the endocannabinoid system in my body that heals from the immune system from producing its own endocannabinoids. I know that that's how my body works, and so I understand that using CBDs will affect the receptors in a positive way to encourage things that I wanted to do. Also, I got menthol put in my pain cream because people had me try their CBD pain cream, and I wipe it on and they go, "What do you think?" It feels like hand lotion. What am I supposed to say? But I had mine made with a lot of menthol. So when I put it on my shoulders, I can feel it penetrating right away. Like biofreeze, or like a burning freeze, and it's and so I can feel it soothing right away, and then knowing that it's delivering a maximum amount of CBD is good to me. And with the tinctures, 3,000 milligrams of CBD as well. Here's the thing: because there's no federal guidelines, if you look up what should your daily dosage of CBDs be, you're going to find a wide variety of answers. And if you ask people, same thing. There's no guidelines. I see everywhere from 20 milligrams recommended as a daily dosage to 300. I personally take like 200 just through tinctures, not counting anything that I might get from another application throughout the day. However, smoking the flower or topicals, that's, I do at least 200. And if you're doing 200 milligrams and your bottle of tinctures has 500 milligrams, that's not going to last you very long. if you have 750 milligrams, that's not going to last you very long. So, you know, if you do 300 milligrams, you got 3,000 in here, then at least you're good for 10 days. And so I wanted to be sure. And, you know, I'm not super sensitive to a lot of things. You know, I have a high tolerance to a lot of things that I know affect a lot of people around me in a much stronger way. And so because of that, I've always said I'm not a very good test subject, but when it comes to certain things, you know, like THC, you know, sure, you know, I can smoke and give my opinion on different strands and different effects, and I do. So, you know, now the thing that's exciting about CBDs for me is like marijuana's been around forever. We've always had THC, and now we're just starting to talk about CBDs, just like in the last 6 years or something, roughly. And now we're talking a little bit about, most people haven't heard about CBG or CBN, but there's like 100 or so components, cannabinoids, elements in the marijuana plant, depending on what you read, from 60 to 120. And we're only talking about very few because it's illegal to study it. It always has been. So now that it's getting legalized, getting easier to study it, we're going to learn so much about the plant in the future, and we're going to learn to isolate the different elements and use them by themselves or combine them in the ways that we want to get the desired effect that we want. So that's why it's really exciting and new too, because before people just thought, well, here's what marijuana does to me, it makes me sleepy, you know, and not knowing what strand they had or if it was, you know, indica or sativa, not knowing anything about the strand, they just thought generally like that's what it does to them. But think about if you really want something specific, I just want something to help me sleep at night, and they're able to pull that exact cannabinoid from the plant and put it in a application that you like. Just like we've always known, a lot of pharmaceuticals could be replaced.
Thanks so much for talking to us and for the tour of your house. It's really great to visit here and see that you're doing so well and have so many cool new projects happening.
Awesome.
All right, everybody. This has been Edibles Magazine with Rob Van Dam, RVD, the whole fucking show.
If you follow me at The Real RVD, man, do it. Rob Van Dam.
Greetings. We're here with Emerald Media out here in Brooklyn, and our guest today is the wonderful Makada Marley. Makada, it's a pleasure to have you here.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you.
Of course.
Thank you, Lee.
No problem. Now, we would love for you to tell us a little bit about yourself and your relationship to the plant, if you wouldn't mind.
Well, my father, he wanted to spread the one love message, and herb is the healing of the nation. Herb, marijuana, is the healing of the nation. So we want to get that message out, and it's just refreshing that finally it's being recognized as for its medicinal uses, as well as in some states here in America for recreational purposes, so that we're no longer massively incarcerated for, a gift from Jah.
Yeah. Definitely. And it seems like you've had both positive and negative experiences with this. Growing up, of course, with a family such as the Marleys, your father being at the forefront of an industry that's changing from a community-based to more of a capitalist kind of situation. You've gone through some experiences with cannabis recently that have been negative. Would you like to talk us a little bit about that?
Well, yeah, when I started my grow in my home, in the privacy of my own home, I was pretty much ratted on by a person that wanted some recognition, wanted to try to bring me and, tarnish my family name, and was actually extorting me, trying to stay in my home without contributing to it. And so that's how I got arrested and charged and, have to serve years and years of probation because of it.
And that was in Pennsylvania, yes?
Yes.
And it was just a home grow. You weren't doing it for commercial purposes, just something where you were growing plants for medicine for yourself and for your family.
Yes.
That's something that should not be criminalized, and it's very unfortunate that you've had to go through that. What are some of the biggest things that you've learned having to go through the system and having to actually fight the power in the system? What are things that you could suggest to others that are going through a similar situation to you?
I would just suggest to stand up for your rights and stay strong, and don't try and let them, beat you down or intimidate you, because it's just kind of ironic how they charged me in 2010 with manufacturing a plant that grows, naturally. It's a plant, and they charged me with these charges, causing me to have felonies, causing me to, not be looked upon as an upstanding citizen. And then a couple years later, deciding, oh, well, now it's good for people. Now that we've ruined people's lives, torn people away from their families. And I have one friend, he just spent 6 years just for possession of the plant and just for, his own personal use. And it's just ridiculous how, they try to intimidate us. But, there's a lot of resources out there now that we don't have to be silent. We don't have to be in prison. We're allowed to be free now, finally. And I just wanted, I stood up and spoke up in Trenton, New Jersey. I've spoken in Harrisburg about the legalization, having it federally legalized and not just on the state level. And I'm just an advocate for that, and I will always speak up about that.
And that's really important to know, especially the part of you now having a felony, and not just you, but so many people who have been disenfranchised. Having a felony does more than just affect your personal life. It affects the whole community that you live in, because the people who have felonies, they're not allowed to vote. You're not allowed to be a part of the system that is holding you down because of something that they are now making a plethora of money off of.
Exactly.
And talking about the way that you have experienced this situation, how do you feel that being a young black woman has changed your experience versus if somebody else from a different race or a different gender had been going through the same thing?
It's so much harder. It's actually brutalizing what they do to black people and black women in particular. I've known plenty of white males that have been growing and have never had to face the consequences of what they are doing, and I was doing the same thing. But it's just how the system is set up. How we're a society that was based in slavery, and they changed that slavery into like this legal system now, where they're still having us bondage and persecuted because of the color of our skin. So it's a lot harder, and it's unfair.
It is. It's definitely unfair. And one of the things that I've been seeing across the country, when certain states and localities are opening up for cannabis sales, is expungement of records. So there have been a lot of people are doing expungement events, but it doesn't seem like those are working as much because people can't go out to the events because their loved ones are in jail for having 2 grams of weed, so they have to work 2 jobs, so they then can't make the after work event where they could potentially get their loved ones out of jail by just filling out simple paperwork. So those type of expungement events, are those something that you guys are wanting to be a part of or focusing on?
It would be nice to see that happen, but first I have to get off of probation.
Yeah.
In order to even do that, it's like they charge you all this money and they take all this time out of your life, and then you can't apply for expungement or anything until you're completely done it. But it's like, you got all my money, you got all my time, you got all my resources. Now, is there any type of, reimbursement for all this that I all the money that I've spent.
You're right, exactly. And that makes it so difficult for you to be able to continue, not just in your life, but if you were to attempt to now get into the market that is this capitalized cannabis market, they are inhibiting that as well. So they're saying the things that you were doing, the pathway that you paved, you can't walk on it. That's for us to drive on.
Exactly.
And so a lot of places, or not a lot, but more and more recently, governors are signing into effect, expunging all of the records for things that have been previously illegal and are now legalized. And these expungements, they don't just affect a person, and they don't just affect one family household, they affect an entire community, and in turn affect an entire group of people. And so I think that's something that you can definitely be a pioneer for, going with all the struggles that you've gone through, and hopefully a light for people who are going through the same thing, or hopefully won't have to in the future.
And that's where, you know, the Live Love experience is what we're doing now. And
so tell us a little bit about the Live Love experience.
Well, the Live Love experience is an experience where all people are welcome to join, you know, in celebrating the legalization of marijuana and listening to good music and feeling at peace and not ashamed for what you enjoy in your life. You know, live, love, and the pursuit of happiness is what the experience is all about.
And how can people get involved with this movement that you are trying to embody?
Well, they can see me in 2020 when I put out some music and show up to events that I'll be hosting and performing at under Life Nation Networks.
Life Nation Networks.
Yes.
Okay. Now, if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about, you know, the music that you like. You know, cannabis and music have always been so intertwined, especially in your family's experience with your father leading the way for cannabis and music to become one. And how are you taking that, and how are you making it your own?
That's a great question, Lee. Oh, goodness. Well, the music is always going to be reggae music, dance hall. We have the EMD or
EDM.
EDM. We have EDM. Okay, so there's EDM music. There, you know, it always starts with reggae music,
Of course.
and the whole message of the Rasta man and Rasta man vibrations, and you know, I just like to get that back into being in the limelight instead of in the shadows. You know, we want to bring that back forward and bring it and combine it with the EDM movement and combine it with, you know, what's going on in this day and age in the digital movement of, you know, music and sound and
Very cool.
marijuana.
I think that's great. And I do want to talk about some of the benefits and negatives, you know, for all of the good that's come from the life that you've been able to live, being Bob Marley's youngest daughter, his last born. How has it been kind of different for you than what people could see? Because someone would look at your life and say, oh, well, it's perfect, you know, she has everything, she has this legacy, and that's all she needs, she doesn't need to do anything else. How have you kind of seen it as a blessing and a curse?
Well, I've seen it as a blessing because, you know, my family, we've always been loving and spreading one love, and when we get together when they're on tour, and it's been really nice to be a part of the Marleys. And it's been a curse to where people have these preconceived notions about me and think that they know about me, but it's kind of a curse because I was born after he passed, so I didn't have the, you know, the bond that my older brothers and sisters had with our father. So that's where it's really sad.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
No, and speaking of family, it's quite a big family.
Yeah.
It's got a lot of brothers and sisters, and one in particular, I believe Damian Marley, he recently got involved and purchased a prison and reformed it into the Marley Prison Grow.
Yeah.
Have you had any experience with that, or have you talked to them about it at all?
No, I haven't.
I think it's
I
very
haven't, but I
interesting.
did see about it, and yeah, I haven't seen him in a couple of years. I think since 2017, but I always call him and talk to him, and we just talk about how we're doing and stuff like that. I don't really get into all his business ventures with him.
Well, I think that in particular is more of a statement than anything else.
It is.
It's prison reform is I mean, the prison industrial complex is probably the worst thing about the U.S.
Yes.
Period.
So to turn that into something positive was an awesome idea.
Right, and not just something positive, but something that your family has always embodied.
Yes.
And to let that legacy live on, to bring freedom from imprisonment, I think is something that your family is doing very well.
Yeah.
You talked about, of course, you talked about music and your passion for music, and that you might even be having some new music come out in 2020.
Yes, I will.
So what are some of the artists or songs or even genres that you've been jamming out to over the past few years, or maybe even few months?
Well, I always listen to reggae. I always listen to my father. Like I said, EDM, a lot of, I really enjoy Bass Nectar. I don't know if you know him.
Of course.
And Toki Monster. I've been to a couple of Camp Discos.
Okay, very cool.
I've been on a lot of tours with my brothers. The Mind Control, Stevens. Mind Control album, which was one of my all-time favorite albums. It's like #1. And then when Damien was, he did the Distant Relatives with Nas. And
one of my favorites.
Yeah. And I like the new music coming out by Lizzo. I really enjoy her a lot.
I just saw her in Vegas. It was
you did?
spectacular.
That's awesome. Yeah. Her and Cardi B. I love Cardi B, and always the Queen Beyonce.
Of course.
I can't wait to hear what she's coming out with soon. I know that she's working on an album. She has to be, because that last album was fire. It was so hot.
For sure.
Yeah, so and Rihanna, I love Riri.
Yeah.
She's awesome. And, I'd like to work with my friend Amir Questlove.
Of course, yeah.
I can't wait to meet back up with him again and, see where 2020 is going to take us.
And you spoke about Rihanna, and Rihanna's always been an advocate for cannabis.
Yes, she
and
has.
very forward with it. And the reality is she has not just been successful as an artist, but now as an entrepreneur as well.
Yeah.
She, with her Fenty brand, it's something that is rivaling the top fashion brands in the world.
It's amazing.
And it's really the discussion of Rihanna and Lizzo together is they're bringing this positivity to black women that hasn't been seen in a long time.
Yeah.
And so that, along with her appreciation for cannabis, I think can definitely go a long way, and hopefully we'll be able to see you as a part of it as well.
Yes, thank you.
Of course. What's your favorite movie?
Coming to America.
Coming to America. That's a good one. That's a good one. You like that one?
Yeah, I love Coming to America.
They're coming out with a new one.
That's what I heard, but I don't know. I don't know if it can even rival the original.
Listen,
at all.
You're never gonna have mopping a McDonald's and having that same scene. It's impossible. But hopefully it'll do it some justice. I kind of want to ask you about the, cannabis is one drug that's been criminalized over the years, but then there are also a lot of different types of drugs or plant medicines that are going through changes. The FDA has recently said that they're going to be starting some trials with psilocybin and LSD, so magic mushrooms and LSD, in terms of helping PTSD and those different things. Places like Oakland have already done decriminalization of drugs like ayahuasca and peyote and these different plant-based medicines that have been used in communities, including Rasta, that for so long. Do you have any experience with these or any ideas on what they should be going through?
No, I don't. I don't get into all of that other things.
You get high and that elevates you enough.
I'm high on life.
There we go.
right now.
I appreciate that.
I'm just high on life, and I think that the CBD and the hemp, what they're doing with helping seizures and helping cancer patients and for pain and like the natural medicines and stuff like that, I think that that's going to be my main focus. I don't know enough about all the other.
No worries. What are some ways that people who are out here being consumers can help focus themselves to support women in business and specifically women in color in the cannabis industry?
Well, they could read Emerald Magazine and definitely, just stay in the loop, and Instagrams and Facebooks and Twitters and, just get involved in community, in media, on social media, I guess. Just stay, linked into what's going on with the different women. You can follow me on LinkedIn. I'm Makada J. Marley.
Okay.
And the same with my, all my pages are the same, Makada J. Marley.
Perfect.
So, and then I try and keep people up to date. I have different pages like Dr. Mac Marley, which will touch on like the different things coming out in the field of medicine and natural cures and herbal cures and stuff like that. And with my what is it called? What's coming out, Rick? With all my products coming out in 2020.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so we're doing a lot of good things.
Okay, fantastic. And these are products that are going to be CBD based potentially. That's fantastic.
And then flour.
Okay.
And
CBD flour has actually been very beneficial to people to help them quit smoking cigarettes. And hemp is another thing that we haven't really discussed, but have you had any experience with it, or are you interested in hemp as well, or specifically cannabis?
Well, hemp for the states that it's not legal in yet. And for the general public, like nationwide, you can get CBD and hemp products in, your local grocery store or your local pharmacy. And so look for my products there too.
For sure.
You'll see those soon, and creams, and there's bands for pain, and has CBD infused everything.
CBD infused everything. I like that. Well, I truly appreciate you taking the time. Is there anything that you would like to talk to us about? Anything else that you want to let the people know?
Just the Live Love experience. It's LIVLUV, and we're gonna have lots of products and events coming in 2020 through Life Nation Networks, and that's it. And thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
It's a pleasure.
Thanks a lot.
Live love.
Live love.